I'm Scott Wheeling with Briggs Core Dynamics. I'm here with Team Infidel, and we're going to talk about a little bit about our equipment. We're going to talk about slings, positions, and techniques on magazine changes, and talk a lot about economy of motion, retention, and control. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about and bring up is equipment. Almost everything has its pros and cons. These PMags, this is a Generation 2 PMag, and one thing I like to point out about this is the tab right here is about an 1/8 inch long, okay? So this is the Gen 2. The Gen 3, they corrected that, and this tab is about 3/16 of an inch long. You're probably thinking, what's the big deal on that? Well, I'll get to that in a minute, but we want to talk about the old school aluminum tabs. The old school aluminum tabs is over 1/4 of an inch tab right there. Now you have the other magazines. You've got the Surefire 60 round magazines. One of the cons for those is if you drop it, it's got so much weight in there that the base plate just shoots out. So you might want to tape those up really good with some T-Rex tape or something like that. Some good 100-mile-an-hour tape. Then talk about the Lancer mags. They're kind of new. They're a polymer metal hybrid, and they're pretty good, but I did notice that they have the tab about the same width as the Gen 2 PMag. And why is that a problem? I'll tell you why it's a problem. Have your rifle, and if you go to slap this in and try to pull it out, if you slap it too hard and try to let it go forward, the mag will go over the magazine stop, and it won't allow your bolt to go forward. If that happens, you have to do one of two things. Now, this is a pretty general rifle here. It's got no optics on it, but if you're by yourself, you literally have to stand on that gun, press the mag release, and pull up, because there's no way you can physically, by yourself, pull this out without using your legs to help you. Or you can have someone else hold the gun for you and press that, and then you try to rip it out of there. It's very hard, and that's why they fixed the Gen 3 and made that tab a little longer. Now, you never have to deal with that if you use the old aluminum mags, because the tab is so big. You slap it in there as hard as you want, and it'll go forward every time. All right, so now what I want to talk about is the reload techniques using the magazines that you have. First of all, you're going to find cover if you can. If you can't, then you're going to transition to your pistol, because as we all know, transitioning is way faster than reloading. I think everybody knows this by now, but if you don't, 28 rounds in a 30-round magazine is what you want to do. That's the right thing to do. There's nothing worse than having the magazine so full of ammo that the spring won't depress if your bolt happens to be forward when you go to put it in. And then you just come down and you hear it click and your mag falls out the bottom. Some of the things I see on mag changes with a long gun is they keep it fully presented out here, they drop that first mag, they go to get that second mag, and it goes in. That looks pretty simple when we're in a perfect environment like this. But the truth of the matter is, they have very little control out here, very little retention. Now, you have more retention if your sling is on. There's pros and cons of slings too. We'll get to that. The third thing is, if you're fully presented like this, you can't see that mag well. So we're going to make that a little easier, and I'll get to that in a minute. The second thing I see is a mag change outside the shoulder like this, and you're doing that mag change. You have decent situational awareness, but again, your retention isn't what it could be, and if you're moving, it's going to be hard to control this weapon, right? And a tendency to this is your wrist will get tired and you start going like this, and then what do? You lose that situational awareness that you had before. Another thing I see, and I kind of mentioned it before, is bringing that rifle down. You have no control of that rifle, you have no situational awareness, and again, you have no retention of that rifle. One of the other things I see is someone putting the mag in and then using their firing hand coming off of the pistol grip to pull the charging hand into the rear. There's absolutely no reason for that. We want economy of motion. Everything can be done on a reload with your non-firing hand. You can throw that mag in there, slap it, and you can get back on target. All right, so now we're going to talk about techniques to fix those problems that we had before. The loss of retention, the loss of control, moving while changing magazines, as well as maintaining your situational awareness. So as soon as I run dry, bolt's locked to the rear, bolt's not locked to the rear. As soon as I run dry, mag is gone, I put it under my armpit. Now I can move, I can still be situationally aware, I can put that magazine in, I can see the mag well in case I need to and I'm having trouble fumbling that. I can slap the side of the weapon so the bolt goes forward and I get back on target. Okay, so we always want to set ourselves up for success. If you notice here, I've got one of those Lance Armstrong type bracelets around and it secures my my sling. I know this is a single point sling. You can use single point, double point, dual point. It's all good. But the reason for this, and it doesn't matter if you're law enforcement or civilian, when I run drills and I have guys grabbing their rifles out of their vehicles, their sling will get stuck on everything. This keeps it all in one place, and all you have to do is rip it apart. The rubber band usually stays where it's at. You just throw it on and you're ready to go. Notice I have single point on this weapon. It's attached right here. The problem with attaching slings to the rear of your weapon, at the rear of the buttstock, is you can't come into retracted gun. What if you needed to muzzle strike someone and your sling's back there? It's all caught right here and you can't get a full stroke to strike someone. So that's one reason. Another reason is I can get retention on it when I'm doing that mag change, locking it forward, and I can come straight back out. It's all about economy of motion. I'm not bringing it down here. I'm not having it out here. I'm not leaving it out here where I have less control over it. When I've only got one hand on it, I've got 2 points of contact right here. Throwing that other magazine in there and getting back on target. So we talked about a little bit about equipment, proper equipment. You select the right thing and it doesn't cost you any more, just with these little knowledge. You train enough, you shoot enough, you're going to find kinks in the armor of your equipment, of your weapon, and some of those kinks, they're totally workable and you can work with them. You know how to fix them, but you got to train and you got to know that equipment. We also talked about slings, actually the location of slings and why it's good to put it up here rather than back here. We want to get that full range of motion if we have to muzzle strike someone, or just simply to have better retention on that weapon, better control of it, as well as keeping situational awareness while we are changing those mags out. Look us up at Briggs Core Dynamics for training and Infidel Body Armor for equipment. Get equipped and get trained.
My fellow Americans, this is the President of the United States. As you all know, the last month has not been good to America. Roving gangs and terrorists may continue to wreak violence in these more remote areas. For this reason, I have upgraded the terror threat from orange to code red. I appreciate your adherence to these temporary measures. Thank you, and have a good day.
This guy is military trained, and he was with others.
Contact! 1 o'clock! 100 meters!
Boss, they escaped.
Let's get out of here.
Go get him!
We're going to try to throw them off.
Is this so they can't track us? Or?
Yeah.
We got 2 individuals confirmed.
I don't see him.